Hi everyone, my name is Rafiat and you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for clicking to watch this video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about making meat pies, from the recipe to the tips and hacks and absolutely everything else. If you like your meat pies with a perfect flaky crust and a perfect filling, then this video is definitely for you. But before we start, please kindly hit that subscribe button. Okay, thank you. So these are the ingredients we're going to need for this recipe, and I'm going to put more details about them, measurements and all of that in the box below. So please make sure to check the box out. And let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add some salt to the all-purpose flour, and I'm going to give all of that a really good mix. In my own opinion, to get that nice Nigerian meat pie taste, there is really no need to add sugar to the cross ingredients, and you don't need to add a lot of flavor as well. So now I'm just going to add some margarine, and you can use butter in place of margarine. It also does the job. So what I usually do to get the perfect flaky crust, I simply use 2:1 for the flour to margarine. So when I'm using 1 kilogram of flour, I should be using 500 grams of margarine. And when I'm using 500 grams of flour, I should be using 250 grams of margarine. And this ratio works for me all the time. So I think you should adopt it as well. Preferably, the margarine or butter you're using should be cold. And once you're done mixing them together, it should look like this in crumbs. And with that, we can move forward. So now I'm just going to add some cold water. It's always better to use cold water. In fact, it's better to maintain cold temperature when you're making meat pies, from the butter or margarine you're using to the water you're going to add. So all I'm doing now is to bring the dough together, not really kneading it, just to bring it together to form a big ball. So now I'm just going to divide the dough into two so that I can set them aside, and I'm just going to put them in one Ziploc bag each. And once I'm done with that, I'm just going to pop them in the refrigerator so that they can cool for a few minutes, about 30 minutes, while we go ahead and make the filling. Gladly, the ingredients we need for the meat pie filling, they are basic ingredients, and all I did was to add some vegetable oil to the pan. Then I added some onions. I'm just going to allow that fry for a few seconds to release all that flavor. Now for the minced meat you're going to use, you can buy your minced meat from the store, or you can make yours. I usually make mine by rinsing the beef thoroughly, and now I'm just going to add to the food processor and let the food processor do the job. In the absence of a food processor, you can actually use a very sharp knife to cut them into smaller pieces, or just buy from the store. So what I usually do is, after mincing, I store in the freezer so I can use the beef anytime I want to. So now I'm just adding the beef into the frying pan, and I'm using my spoon to break it up. You guys, this thing can stick together, eh? So you have to be patient when doing this so that you can break them apart. So all we are doing now is to stir this, and we're going to continue stirring until the beef loses this pink color and starts to release its own natural juice. At this point, everything we are doing is on medium heat. We don't need high heat for this, or low heat. Medium heat is just perfect. So the next ingredient I'm adding is fresh pepper. You don't need to add so much. So now I'm just adding some spices. You can add any spices of your choice. It's based on choice, but I'm going to put all the details regarding the ingredients in the description box. Now I'm adding some diced potatoes and diced carrots. I'm going to stir everything together, and to give this a very moist filling and to thicken it up, I'm just going to dissolve about 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour with water. This is going to provide that moisture and thickness that we need for our filling to have. So I'm just going to add this, stir it up, make sure that everything gets to every corner of the pan, and after that I'm just going to add some water. The water is just going to help us cook the filling properly. And that's actually basically it. Making meat pie filling is very easy. The ingredients are basic ingredients that you can find absolutely anywhere. And that's it, we're done. So once you're done with the filling, cooking it should take about 5 to 10 minutes and everything will be soft. So once you're done with all of that, transfer to a bowl and set aside to cool down completely. Now back to our dough. All you have to do is sprinkle some flour on the surface, and we're going to be working with one piece of dough at a time. Remember, we divided into two, so I just brought one out from the refrigerator, divided again, and I'm rolling one piece out. This is just so that working with the dough can be very easy and fast. This is the level of thickness I like to use when making meat pie crust, and it gives really good results. To cut the meat pies, I'm going to be using a meat pie cutter. Don't worry, if you don't have a meat pie cutter, I have a second method for you. So all you have to do is lift the flattened dough and place on the meat pie cutter. Now I'm just adding some filling. Please do not overfill your meat pies, okay? 1 to 2 tablespoons will do the job for you. And always use an egg to seal your meat pies. All you have to do is crack an egg, whisk, and apply all around the sides of the meat pie, so that as you close the cutter up, you're going to seal completely. So now I'm just closing the cutter. When you close the cutter, don't forget to apply pressure so that you can take out the excess from the corner of the meat pie cutter. And after cutting, this is what we have. Looks really pretty, right? So this cutter comes in different sizes depending on the size you want your meat pies. And in the absence of that, all you have to do is get a circular bowl and place on the flattened dough and take out the excess, just like we did for the cutter. Once you've taken out the excess, go ahead and take off the bowl and add the filling. Just the same procedure for the cutter. Now apply egg wash on the just all around the filling and flip over, trying to cover it. Now use a fork, sorry, I almost said spoon. Use a fork to seal the meat pies so that they don't burst open while you're baking. And this is what we have. So yes, you can do without a cutter, you can use a cutter, though using a cutter is faster. So I'm showing you two styles of meat pies, and whichever one you're using, always make sure to apply egg. Now all I'm doing is to do the whole signature fork markings, and that's the first style. Now for the second style, again repeat the process of applying your egg wash. This is just going to make sure that the meat pies have that glistering golden signature look that meat pies usually have. So always make sure you do this. Now for the second method, get a sharp razor blade or a sharp knife and simply make very shallow slits on the surface of the pies, okay? Please be careful when using the razor blade and make sure the cuts are not too deep, okay? So I'll be doing this style for most of the meat pies, and once I'm done with the slitting, all I'm going to do now is to pop into the oven and allow to bake, okay? So this is the result. Ta-da! Our pies are perfectly baked and fresh from the oven. The slits on the meat pies made them look really different, and I think I like that because we don't have to do basic every day, right? I mean, once in a while you can just switch things up. So for the basic traditional meat pies, so this is how they turned out. Of course, as expected, flaky crust and juicy filling, and that's it. Thank you so much for coming this far. Thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me, and don't forget to go through my channel, and I'm going to see you in my next one. Bye.